Sorry. Hi. We just got out of the 20th anniversary re-release of The Fifth Element.
So good, this movie.
The better 90s Bruce Willis movie about him saving the Earth from a ball of fire heading towards it.
Oh god, I actually had a poster for that movie.
Armageddon?
Yeah, because I got it for free, and it was just like giant and long, and it just said Armageddon. And I never watched it, but it was free, so I hung it in my bedroom.
Armageddon's not very good.
Yeah,
The Fifth Element's awesome.
I know from like the dancing animal crackers part.
I forgot about that shit.
The song "Don't Miss a Thing."
Yeah.
And that's about it.
And honestly, if we want to throw Deep Impact into it, this is also the better 90s movie about a big object heading to Earth that has a black president. I saw this in the theater with my dad back in 97, and I liked this movie a lot better than he did. My dad didn't like this movie very much. Honestly, like, I kind of think he might enjoy it, but maybe better now than maybe back then. I don't know, but like, I remember we're watching this movie, and I'm really enjoying the hell out of it. And I kind of thought, like, since I was enjoying it, my dad probably was too. Which is weird for me to say, because he took me to Encino Man, and I guarantee he wasn't enjoying that. But it was the opera scene, the opera scene in the movie. And my dad, and he didn't do this very often, but my dad looked at me and went, "This is dumb." And I was...
The opera scene has not aged well either.
I honestly thought it did. Like,
I loved it.
Yeah.
But like when she's doing the pretty poetic part, and then like the beat fucking drops, and it's like ninja rap. And she's
thought
like
that
punching
was cool.
guys to the beat. I'm like, oh no.
You know what I liked about that though is that seems right for this universe that would happen.
I agree.
And another thing about that too, because I was wondering, like, when I was watching this, I was thinking back to my dad saying that, and also thinking, what was it about this part that made him turn and say, like, this is dumb? And
Possibly it's like the slappity part.
It was Chris Tucker. Like, I know a lot of people who don't like this movie just because of Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker is the best part of this movie.
I don't think he's the best part of this movie.
He is the best part of this movie.
I mean, for me anyway, he wasn't my favorite. I can see why he would be for a lot of... I can see both. I can see why he would be somebody's favorite part of this movie. I could also see why he would drive people nuts in this. The reason why
like the point of that character was to kind of be obnoxious.
No, that's totally true. And why I don't I think the character's fine. Like, I actually like this character a lot better 20 years later than I did in 97. Because like the opera scene, it's not like this character is out of place in this universe.
Oh yeah.
He's not. He's not, which is something that The Fifth Element does really well, and a lot of stuff that came after it that really seems like they were kind of trying to be The Fifth Element didn't. Because
universe building.
Yeah, take Jupiter Ascending, for instance. Now, hilarious, yes.
But it's like disjointed in terms of the tone of the...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
A universe where, like, there's this super convoluted hierarchical ruling class, but also dogmen on hoverboards.
Yeah, it has moments that are in, like, a real... Jupiter Ascending has moments that are in, like, a real world that we all recognize and people are acting perfectly normal. And then Eddie Redmayne shows up. It would be like, you know, you're watching something... that's in the real world, and then Gary Oldman from this movie would pop up in it. It would feel a little disjointed, you know? Whereas Eddie Redmayne, in that performance, in Jupiter Ascending, would have worked fantastic in this universe.
Absolutely. Just send him back in time so he can be in this movie.
So he
because
could...
I think he'd feel right at home. Gary Oldman was the other best part of this movie.
Gary Oldman's great in this.
Mila Jovovich is the actual best part of this movie.
She is.
Because I noticed this time around... What a great job of acting she's doing.
Oh, yeah.
Fitting the tone of the movie while simultaneously making it believable that she's that character.
No, Milla Jovovich, I was thinking the same thing too watching this again, because it's been a while since I've seen this movie. I've seen it since it was out in theaters in '97, but it's still probably been a while since I watched it. And I was thinking that when I was watching this movie too. I was like, damn, she's good in this movie.
Well, I guess that they made up that whole language that she was speaking. And, and her and the director would like speak it to each other so she could practice. But there's one particular spot where like she's telling the story of like the Stones, and she keeps getting like distracted by her hands. And at the end, she kind of trails off because she's looking up the address of the hotel that they're at.
Yeah,
and just like the way she's managing to get all that across in a language that was made up like weeks beforehand,
right,
is freaking phenomenal.
It is. It's because I was sitting there watching the movie like, this feels like a real language. Like this feels like something that she just knows, that she has known for a long time. And she, not only that, but she also does a lot of really expressive acting in this movie, with her eyes, with her gestures, with her mannerisms, and everything. And Luc Besson is great at directing this kind of thing as well, because Luc Besson can have really tense moments in his movies and throw humor into it too, and it works. It doesn't feel out of play. Like, look at something like The Professional, like Leon the Professional, that has really brutal shit in that movie. But at the same time, there's also other stuff in there too, like Natalie Portman taking the gun and says, I could be a hitman, and just firing it out the window. Like, really funny shit like that is thrown in there, and that they do that in this film as well, especially with Milla Jovovich's character. And after when Brian and I saw that last Resident Evil movie, I was sitting there watching that movie, which isn't good, but I was sitting there watching it going like, I really like Milla Jovovich. Like,
she hasn't been. Do you remember, what was it, Third Kind?
Yeah, the Fourth Kind.
Fourth Kind, that's right.
Fuck.
She just like wanders the fucking out of the woods, like, hello everybody, it's me, Milla Jovovich.
Yeah, that wasn't good. that wasn't good, but the awfulness of that movie has nothing to do with her. Yeah. Like, it really doesn't.
She's still in trouble though.
Right. But in like, because she also handles herself really well in the action scenes in this movie too. And in Resident Evil, she's a really good action lead. Like, to the point I'm like, why is she just in these Resident Evil movies? Like, she's great in them. She carries herself well and kicks a lot of ass in those movies, when you can actually tell what's fucking going on in those movies. Especially that last one, Jesus Christ. But yeah, between her and Michelle Rodriguez, I'm like, God, I would like to see them in more things, especially Milla Jovovich. Yeah, no, she really stood out to me in this movie, seeing it again.
I want to talk, too, about Gary Oldman, because I was thinking when I was watching this movie, there's actors like Hugh Jackman, who just, you know, he'll be in a movie and he'll play Hugh Jackman with like a different hat on. But then there's Gary Oldman, who's like a different goddamn person in every single movie that he's in.
To the point to where,
like, believing that this guy is the same as the guy who plays Sirius Black, is the same as the guy who plays fucking Dracula.
Yeah.
And the same as the guy who plays, you know, Commissioner Gordon.
And in The Professional. And yeah, you're right. Yeah. I like these calm moments before the storm. And oh god, right? Yeah, like, the guy's a fucking chameleon, man. Like, he is haunting in Leon the Professional, and in this, he's future Foghorn Leghorn, and it works.
He's like getting his top lip all curled up, and like this rivulet of blood. Some actors, they get all like pretentious and methody about, you know, their process, and it's like, but Gary Oldman can talk all day about his goddamn process, and I will listen.
Right, and I would too, because like okay, now I can hear what his actual accent is. He can be the best part of bullshit, like that. That fucking Liam Hemsworth Paranoia movie that I had to go see that had him and Harrison Ford in it.
Okay.
And there's one scene in the movie where it's it's the only scene that's worth watching. It's Gary Oldman and Harrison Ford knowing that they're in bullshit and just trying to outmatch, like top one another on their lines. Like,
having like a scenery eating contest.
yeah. And it's like one scene in the movie, and I think it's like the only scene they have together in it. The movie is just straight up dog shit. But if you watch that scene, it's kind of amazing.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
You don't need any context for it either. Is that they use that scene in like the trailers for the movie.
I'll see if I can find it on the YouTubes.
I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it is. You don't need any context for that fucking scene. Just watch these two guys like just try to overact one another. And he's even like funny as fuck in this movie too. Like his comedic timing is great. When he gets that box and realizes it doesn't have the stones in it.
Both times! It's not here.
And man, I miss this kind of Bruce Willis movie too.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just, he's still got hair and a sense of humor.
He's having fun. He's being that Bruce Willis that everyone loves.
Wearing a ridiculous puffy jacket with like cargo pockets on the sleeves because Jean-Paul Gaultier thought he ought to.
Man, I miss when like Bruce Willis movies were just events. And the last movie I saw him in was a Mark Paul Gosselaar movie that was direct to video. And Bruce Willis was the bad guy and never left his hotel room. It wasn't very good. Apparently he's in a lot of stuff like that. Like there's several where he's just kind of in them as the villain and he's just kind of in one place. Because I guess I don't know, like he signed some contract with some company where that's what he does. Like with some company he had to be in this many movies for like 10 minutes. For reasons.
That's a weird contract. He's laughing all the way to the bank, I bet. But.
I'm sure, and I'm sure I'm missing a lot of details there. But it's like, dude, you're Bruce Willis. Like
Get hired like a lawyer to read that shit for you.
Yeah, like, why does he need to be in like direct-to-video shit? I mean, it wasn't like he still had some hits that were out in the box office. Like, even back in the 90s, he had hits, and then ones that weren't. But even the ones that weren't, I still kind of loved, like Hudson Hawk.
Fucking Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk is awesome. Do you not like Hudson Hawk?
I recall tolerating Hudson Hawk.
You know, that is more than most people do with Hudson Hawk.
I think we watched that one together because we were like, you've never seen Hudson Hawk? Well, sit down, my friend. And then we watched Hudson Hawk, and it's like, okay.
And me and Brian love it. Because of course me and Brian love that movie. Why the fuck wouldn't we be fans of Hudson Hawk?
Hudson Hawk, like, I watched it once and I'm probably never gonna watch it again. This movie, like, if you were to ask me what my favorite movies are, it probably wouldn't be on the list. But then if you were to say any day of the week, hey Sarah, you want to watch Fifth Element? My answer would be absolutely.
I would
and there's
too.
a very short list of movies that are like that. Like, Fifth Element, Princess Bride, Clue.
Oh, yeah.
Just movies like that where you don't think of them until it's time to watch them, and then you're like, fuck yeah, Clue.
Yeah.
1 + 1 + 2 + 1.
I have movies that, when I'm flipping channels, and a particular movie's on, it's like, well, here's what I'm doing for the next 2 hours. Like, it could be on in the background or something like that. And off the top of my head, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm flipping,
I'll watch it right now.
Yes, same. If it's on when I get home, like right now I'm planning on going home and like laying down and waiting to fall asleep. But if Temple of Doom is on, I'm gonna be up for another couple hours.
Laura came and watched this movie with us because she'd never seen it before.
She'd never seen it.
She told me that, and I'm like, I'm so excited for you. To be you in this moment, the moments before you watch Fifth Element for the first time.
I knew she would really like this movie. There's some where I'm like, I want to see this re-release. I don't think you'll like it. Actually, I don't think that's really... No, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't think that's really happened with any re-release. I think it's just sort of happened with something that might be good, that's like a new release or something like that. She sat through bullshit just to see like something that she wants to see. Like she really wanted to see Split, but had to sit. I think I've mentioned this before. But she had to sit through Return of Xander Cage before we got to Split. Like,
it's called, what is it called? The Ferryman's Tithe.
Yeah. The weather's weird. It's like hot as fuck in here, but
it's so but I know if we open the windows, all the bugs will come pouring in.
Oh,
it's always a decision I have to make for these midnight reviews in the summer.
I wasn't thinking so much that. I was thinking more so the wind. The wind is fucking hardcore.
The wind will blow all the bugs into the car.
Suddenly that'll be what you hear on the microphone. And the effects totally hold up in this movie too.
Like the scene where it's just like the arm and then the machine kicks on and starts just like putting chunks of bone down and like printing off of a person. That effect did not look dated at all. No.
A lot of the effects reminded me of how like great Batman still looks. Like Batman with the Gotham that they created in that movie and how it still looks great. It still looks like a city. It still looks like a livable city, and it's the same way in this too, just like a futuristic version of it. The matte paintings look great, the models look great, the ships look fantastic. It's fucking impressive. Like, it's 20 years later, and I'm watching this movie in the theater, and I'm still impressed by the effects work that they put into it.
The outfits have not held up.
But again,
like they hired like a designer, you know, to design these outfits, and so they're very of their time. But then looking back at like the iconic shit, like the bandage outfit that she's got on right before she's created, and it's like it's kind of strappy in an unpleasant way, and then the bottom is kind of loose, so it looks like she's wearing some like a diaper that's trying to claw its way up the rest of her body. Yeah, or like the like his ridiculous puffy jacket with his sleeves. Like, what is the point of that?
I get it, though, in this. It's like, I think in this movie, at least to me anyway, like, feels less that it's dated and from 1997, but it does feel like it would exist in this universe.
It does feel like it's of the universe.
Yeah, between like the stuff with Ruby Rhod and like and her hair and like how the cops look and dress in this. And honestly, it also because of the sense of humor of the movie too. It is a quirky movie. Yes. It's a really quirky and very funny movie, and all of that. It's written so well and directed so well and stylized so well that, at least to me anyway, it doesn't feel out of place or anything like that.
Yeah, no, like if the outfits had sprung organically from the universe in which they exist, then I'd say, yeah, totally, it makes sense. But knowing that a designer made it in that time period,
in 97,
it's like, oh no. He's wearing an entire pinstripe suit made out of rubber. Somebody thought that was a really good idea.
Once Ruby Rhod shows up in this, you could have told me Prince designed this movie.
He's got to be based on Prince.
I would think. Like, when he popped up, I'm like, what? They had to have asked Prince if he'd be interested in this.
I don't think Prince would have done as good a job as Chris Tucker. Because Prince is kind of like a subdued...
He's way more subdued than... Like, you would think, like, it'd be like Chris Tucker, but it wouldn't be. Like, Prince would be a lot more mellow than Chris Tucker is in this movie. And there's a couple moments in the movie where I was like, all right, Chris Tucker, tone it down just a little bit. Like,
crank it up.
I think great. It was large, like, less like when he was doing his thing about DJing and everything like that, because again, that fits with this movie. But when it was in the last few minutes and it was like kind of intense, I was like, there were a couple parts I'm like, all right, tone down the screaming just a sec.
Broken. Why did I get the broken one?
God. But it didn't take me out of the movie or anything like that. Chris Tucker is an actor who I have a lot of respect for him because he puts his all into what he does. And also, it seems like he is smart enough not to overexpose himself. Like, imagine, like... Because he's not in that many movies.
He doesn't let us get burned out on it.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
I agree. No, I agree.
If there were, like, 12 Chris Tucker movies in a year, like Kevin Hart does,
Oh, God.
it'd be a little fucking much. But not that I was ever the biggest fan of his, because sometimes he would work for me, and other times I'd be like, God, I need like an ibuprofen or something. Some stuff, I thought he was really good in Jackie Brown, and I've seen him do a couple of dramatic stuff, and he's done that really, really well.
I really like the Rush Hour movies.
I haven't seen those since they came out.
I have to be like in the mood to watch them.
Yeah.
But it's because they're just fairly formulaic, but Chris Tucker always makes me laugh in them.
And I might enjoy those revisiting them now than I did back when they came out, because again, he kind of comes around once every few years, does his thing, and then, I don't know, goes into hiding. I don't know where he goes.
Just to spend his money.
Yeah.
But I used to watch this movie all the time in high school. Like me and my friends, we'd quote it at each other. It's one of those kind of movies. I'd
seen it a number of times. I honestly can't remember the last time I saw it, but I've seen it enough times to where there was one thing about this movie, though, that I didn't remember, and it was the same with both of us. In the opening credits, when it says, "and Luke Perry," I was sitting there in my head going, I don't remember him. And then I heard you go, what? And I figured it was the same thing.
Fast forward to like the first 15 minutes of it, because it's boring and doesn't contribute to the rest of the plot. And so I've forgotten that Luke Perry plays like the son of the archaeologist.
Yeah.
For the first 15 minutes and then fucks off. Not nearly enough in the movie to warrant like the title screen. And then when he gets to the end credits, he's like 6th build. He's billed above like that general guy that keeps showing up.
I guess he's the
star power of Luke Perry.
Right? It's like, well, I mean, it was the 90s. Like,
he's got a really good agent.
Yeah. I had forgotten about it. I never really skipped past the first part because I love the Aziz Light joke. Oh, yes, thank you, Aziz. Much better.
He's keeping like a little tally of the number of times he said Aziz Light.
I was thinking in my head, like, was Luke Perry a voice of some character in this? And I just completely forgot. And he pops up, I'm like, oh, he's like Asylum's Brendan Fraser from The Mummy. That's what he is.
Yeah, for a minute I thought maybe he was like one of the alien guys with the ears.
I know, I was thinking that too. This, in terms of like Luc Besson movies, Leon the Professional is always my favorite one of his. But this is a damn good movie.
I'd have to be in the mood for Leon the Professional. I will always be in the mood for Fifth Element.
You know, that's a good point. Like, whereas like Leon the Professional, if I'm saying which one my favorite one of his, it would be that. I find that to be honestly one of the best action movies ever made.
It's an amazing movie.
But this one is, I could be in the mood for this on a day when maybe I'm not in the mood for something as deep as like Leon the Professional.
This movie's like a bowl of soup on a rainy day.
It is.
Not necessarily a masterpiece, but always welcome.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. We don't have any trailers to talk about, really.
Nope. We got Valeria.
Oh, well, yeah, they showed
Valerian?
a big Valerian.
Yeah, Valerian and the Thousands of Planets, or whatever it is.
The city of a thousand planets.
Yeah. It looks good. It looks really good. It's got Rihanna in it as Liza Minnelli, apparently.
Is that who that was?
Well, it's Rihanna doing like the Mein Lieber Herr dance from
that
Cabaret,
part.
and then she pulls down and she's like, "Hello, nurse."
Oh, okay, I just didn't realize that was Rihanna.
Yeah.
No, I always look forward to Luc Besson movies. Because good or bad, he'll give you something interesting that maybe you hadn't seen before. Like, Luc Besson, I love Luc Besson, because Luc Besson, it's not so much that he's, like, a seal of quality, but he is a seal of curiosity.
Well, you guys weren't much for Lucy, right?
Lucy was, I kind of recommend that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I remember...
So it was like batshit insane.
It is. It's crazy. It is so fucking crazy. Like, we got in the review, and I think one of the first things I said was like, I can't tell people not to see this. This movie ends with like this movie, like, Scarlett Johansson shares the screen with dinosaurs in the movie. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, it makes zero sense, but it's not supposed to make any fucking sense. Like, Lucy was not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but it was fun. It was fun and was fucking crazy. It's got cavemen in it. Like, what? This movie has a character that turns into a flash drive. It's kind of great.
Well, check it out. I was gonna say something and I can't remember what it was. Not Brick Mansions. Did he do Brick Mansions in addition to B-13?
He wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah, or I don't know how much he had to do with Brick Mansions, but he wrote District B-13.
Yeah, 'cause District B-13 I love.
Yeah.
Again, wouldn't watch it every day, but that's mostly because you can't do anything else when you're watching a subtitled movie. But it's definitely one of my favorite action movies.
Of the stuff that he wrote, like, I dug the shit out of, like, 3 Days to Kill with Kevin Costner. I like Taken. I still like the first Taken movie. The Transporter movies, the original Taxi. Lockout with Guy Pearce. I had a lot of fun with that movie. Like, it's Escape from New York in space, and it's fun.
That sounds amazing. That's what I was going to ask. In Valerian, is that Asa Butterfield?
No, it's Dane DeHaan.
Okay, because he looked kind of Butterfieldly. I wasn't sure.
He's very Butterfieldy.
Very Butterfield-esque. I thought I was trying to, like, make up for a goddamn Ender's Game, but apparently it's not him. Asa Butterfield just,
The space between us. Stop going to space, Asa Butterfield.
It doesn't like you.
Space doesn't like you. It keeps trying to kill you. Well, so speaking of space and trying to kill you, tomorrow Dave and I are at Alien Covenant.
You guys have fun with that.
Yeah, that's going to be a live episode. We're doing an Alien Covenant review live, and that'll be probably around 9:30 Central Time, around there.
I want to try doing a live one.
Yeah, we'll totally do a live one. Well, and also speaking of space between us, we're going to try to see everything at some point.
God, yeah. Because it's the bubble girl. If instead of making like a suit to go out and investigate the world like a goddamn responsible teenager, she just wandered off into the ocean to die.
Maybe it makes sense in the book.
Maybe the suit isn't shown in the preview.
I'm assuming it's based on a book. I don't even know if it is. I'm just guessing it is. Alright, we got those coming up, and I think the Bryans are going to be at Diary of a Wimpy Kid: The Long Haul.
The reboot.
Yeah, see it.